And we're off. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. My guest today is named Ellen Canner, and she's not only written a book, but she is going to do a delicious vegan Miami ceviche recipe for us. Please welcome her to the show. It's so nice to meet you.
It is so nice to meet you. I know you have been to Miami because you have been a star on the vegan cruise, but Miami is sort of its own entity, and it's so vibrant, and I'm trying to portray that here. I have a painter friend who says I have a very painterly sensibility in the kitchen. So Miami is bright colors, bright flavors, and I'm actually working on a book called Miami Vegan.
I love it.
It's so, I mean, we talk about, cultural appropriation with recipes. Miami is a great big fusion of delicious flavors. It's, Miami is a hop from Cuba, from Haiti, from the Dominican Republic, from the Bahamas. So all those flavors and all those cultures wind up on our plates.
That's amazing. I was reading in your bio that you gave me, somebody said, Ellen is a vegan Oprah. What did they mean by that?
It means I try and, as you do, coax people into seeing all the wonderful potential in you and that you can augment when you embrace plant-based.
When did you first get interested in a plant-based diet? Tell us your journey.
My journey began when I was 12 or 13. I still have an older cousin who gave up meat for a couple weeks, and that was about all she could handle. But I thought, wow, that's kind of cool. Let me see what that's like, because I loved animals, and I knew it would annoy my parents. So it was a win-win. And I wasn't expecting forever. I wasn't even thinking too far ahead, because when you're 12 or 13, you don't. But I felt immediately fantastic. I used to get colds all the time as a tween and as a kid. All that went away. And I couldn't see any reason to go back. I was vegetarian for a long time just because being vegan, one, seemed like a big reach at the time. There were no commercial vegan products on the market. That's how far back I go. But I'm a food writer, right? And the more I explored our food system, the more I thought, no dairy, no eggs. I can't recommend it for me. I can't recommend it for anyone else. But boy, you can really wake up flavor with vegetables. It's so not boring. I really wish I could impress that on people. And I hope my recipe today helps do that.
So did your parents stay annoyed? How do they feel now?
Mystified still. But, after close to 25 years, they like, oh, okay, what are we going to do? We're not going to change her now.
But they have no interest themselves in eating more plants.
I wish they did. They are both in heaven somewhere, and I'm sure they're still like, well, look, she's doing good. We can't worry about her now.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry. So what about other people? Any other friends or family members that maybe you were able to influence?
Everyone for a short amount of time, but Miami has developed into such a red hot vegan community. And we're also very tight and supportive of each other. I know you mentioned Ella Magers. We all cheer each other on. And there's some amazing vegan restaurants here, which was not the case when I started. So, I love the idea of convincing people with something that makes their mouth wake up and say, oh, now I get it. So I miss teaching in person because I could always say, here, have this. And oh, yeah. But I hope we can do a little of that today.
That's great. Well, if you were 12 and there was no vegan junk food or even vegan, there was vegan food. It was called produce, and whole grains and legumes. What did you eat back then? Because I went vegan at 17. There wasn't even any kind of alternative milk then.
Right. Oh, yeah. I was talking to a colleague and we were remembering the days of very brown soy milk. And like, that's what we were excited about. That's how I learned to cook. My mother said, you want to do this? Fine, that's fantastic, but you're on your own. And it was maybe a little bit of tough love, but I always loved to cook. I found it's kind of alchemical, right? What happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? And I learned, and I've met so many wonderful people. It's a journey. It's very exciting.
You said you're a food writer. What exactly does that mean? Where do you write about food?
I have a couple articles coming up in the next VegNews. In fact, I write for Huffington Post. I write for Civil Eats and Edible South Florida. I like to write about food as something bigger than it is. It's a way to talk about education, the environment, sustainability, especially now that we're all worried about our health and the health of the planet. Look, I'm in Miami. This is ground zero for rising tides. I want to cool the planet down and just kind of shake you up in terms of what you eat and have a good time too.
Nice. So were you always a writer?
Pretty much. That's how I make sense of the world. Okay. Cooking and writing, they're always the things I go back to, and good food and good friends get me through almost anything.
And I'm just curious what kind of stuff you were making when you were 12. I just can't imagine. Did it taste good?
It tasted good. I could destroy a kitchen just because I didn't necessarily know how things worked then. Gosh, I wish I could remember that far back. But I remember a lot of eggplant. My father hated eggplant too. So we were, he was like, you want to have that? Help yourself.
Yeah. Did you have any siblings?
Nope, I was an am and only. So my cousins were very close in age, and I can occasionally tweak them so they're interested in vegan. Like my cousin who has high cholesterol, I said, you don't have to put all that dairy milk in your coffee. You could try this almond milk. You could try this oat milk. And she was an instant convert. That was such an easy fix for her. And, earlier this year when 11 Madison Park went entirely plant-based, that was on their radars. Like, oh, okay, I guess this is really a thing. It's a great thing.
That is pretty cool. I've tried contacting them to get them on the show. I don't hear back, but that is pretty amazing that a restaurant would do that.
Yes. And they're not going to be the last. This is a trend. We've been working towards this, right?
Yep. I just happened to be an early adopter 44 years ago. Did you have any formal culinary training of any kind?
I have worked in kitchens with some amazing chefs, but no, I'm mostly self-schooled. As I say, I kind of like to figure things out as I'm in the process.
Were they vegan restaurants?
Not always. And that sort of is another reason why I am a home cook, and I don't see anything wrong with that. The whole vibe of a commercial kitchen is just not what I felt comfortable with.
Getcha. Tell us about your book, and can you hold it up if you have a copy? I posted the link to it.
I have a copy handy. This is my first book. It's called Feeding the Hungry Ghost: Life, Faith, and What to Eat for Dinner. And it is seasonal, and it is full of plant-based recipes, but it's more than recipes. It's also stories, memoir, because I did not feel I could tell people what to do without them really getting to know who I am. So I, was very clear on the page, and I told some stories about me growing up and how I came to be who I am. And I give a bunch of what I call gentle nudges that'll encourage people to approach a more holistic way of living and eating, whether it is seasonal produce or maybe growing a little of your own food, even if it's just a little pot of mint. It connects us more. I have before pre-pandemic, I used to do, and I still love to do, conscious cooking and mindful eating workshops. Because, mindfulness is the #1 American wellness trend. And it sounds really easy, and it's not. But most of us have the opportunity to eat at least once a day. So here's an opportunity to bring your awareness to where you are, to the whole sensory nature of food, and take good care of yourself too.
Nice. I read in your bio that you develop recipes for several brands. What kind of recipes have you created for them, and can us regular people find them?
They're on the Rancho Gordo website. I have a back to the Caribbean influence, Caribbean black beans, red beans and rice. Let's see, I think I still have a recipe up on California walnuts. And I'm working with a salad and dressing and marinade company called Bold Palette Foods. And I have some recipes up there now too.
Yep. Just want Fran Costigan's in the house, and she highly recommends your book. Hey, Fran, we got to get you back on the show again. I'm booking for March. She's a fabulous person and guest. I think she might have been the one that referred you, actually.
She might have been. Fran and Jill Nussina, who I also know you've had on your show. We're sort of the 3 vegan bad girls.
Wow, you guys are like the Charlie's Angels. Well, Gina says your book was VegNews Book of the Year. That's fantastic.
I was so amazed and honored. I still am. I'm kind of, when I'm having a bad day, it's like, girl, that was Book of the Year. It's like,
yeah, I know what you mean. When I'm having like a bad day, I look at my award on the wall, Vegan Hall of Fame, and I'm like, okay, I guess I got to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you have a culinary point of view other than just vegan?
Whole foods. Lots of spice when you can. I found working on this recipe that I usually really like to be very inclusive and say, use whatever works. And I do believe that. I think I'm very eager to show ways you can cut down on food waste. And I'm going to show that in the course of making this. But I find I've gotten very fussy about raw onions. There is a little bit in this recipe. There was a story in the New York Times food section about a month ago. It was an essay. Someone said, you know what? I love the taste of raw red onions. And there was a whole tribe of people who said, yeah, red raw onions, I love them. And if you are of that tribe, good on you. Please have some in this recipe. They're way too strong for me. So I went with a milder, quieter yellow onion, but definitely use what works. This does have a bit of citrus in it because this is Miami vegan. But I want people to be able to say, yeah, I know how to do this. I can do this. It's a very adaptable recipe.
Great. Well, let's get started then. Ceviche is normally made with what kind of seafood?
It depends on where you are. Ecuador, Peru, Polynesia all claim to have created ceviche. So it's based on whatever is local. And I'm a big proponent of local food. One problem, obviously, the store of ceviche is fish. And it's not great if you're a fish, and it's not great if you're a vegan. So I had to find a different way to go here. You may know that plant-based seafood has gone up in popularity 24%. That is huge. But you asked me what my culinary sensibility is, and that is whole food. So first I was going to tell you what I'm using instead, but no, we're going to do a big reveal. We're just going to sort of enjoy the process here. When you make ceviche, the most important thing is the citrus zing and the chili. Combined, that's something called leche de tigre, tiger's milk. There's no milk, there's no tiger, but it is the sort of secret sauce that makes ceviche happen. And to do this, I'm making rather a lot because it's a great party recipe and it keeps. You get a 1/3 cup each of lemon juice, orange juice, and lime juice. I liked having all 3 of them visible because you can really see the difference in color. That's another problem with virtual classes. I want you to smell this. It smells so good. So we have 1, 2, 3. We have now a cup of citrus in here. So bright and fresh.
And I'm guessing you used fresh.
Well, yes, I do.
Yep.
And so I am going to show you a little something extra. Once you have squoze all this citrus and you're thinking, what am I going to do because I hate waste? Save all your bits and put them in a big jar. And if you have a couple sprigs of herbs, I have thyme and rosemary from my garden. Everything else is burned up for summer, but this is still good. I'm going to squish those in there. And I'm going to top it with, excuse me a moment, white vinegar. I'm going to let this soak. I'm going to put a lid on it and let it soak for the better part of a week or 2, letting it marinate for a while. I'm going to strain it. And then I'm going to have a wonderful non-toxic cleanser for the house. I have a companion animal, so I want everything super clean, but I also don't want to hurt him either. So that's a great thing. You get to use every bit of what you got. I love that.
Yep.
Okay. So we have our citrus, and the other thing is the zing from chili. You can use half a jalapeno, but we grow Scotch bonnet peppers in Miami. I meant to look up the difference in the Scoville scale. That's how hot it is. Scotch bonnets are, despite their little cuteness, they are way, way more hot. So instead of using half a Scotch bonnet, I would just say use a teaspoon unless you know just how hot you can stand it. So all that goes in there. And now just sort of some nice salady things. I have half a pint of grape tomatoes, all different colors. I wonder if you can see, we got red, yellow, orange. In they go. 1 red pepper. A mild one.
Of all the different colors you're using.
I do too. And my onion. So that is really the hard part. That's the leche de tigre. And so where am I going to go? This is really only the secret sauce. There's no there yet. I have made vegan ceviche versions, different ones over the years. I've done it with mushrooms. I love mushrooms. But the idea of ceviche is that the citrus cooks the medium that you're using. So it should be raw. Raw mushrooms have a degree of toxin in them. I mean, I used to wonder, okay, if that's the case, why are all their raw mushrooms in the salad bars? But not my problem. But I certainly didn't want anyone saying, I don't want anything that's going to harm me in here. So mushrooms were out, although they taste really good in this. Hearts of palm, also just an excellent flavor, and they can kind of look like scallops too. But I live in Miami. We have beautiful palm trees. While some people say there are sustainable ways to grow palm, that I'm less sure of. And I want to make sure this is a great thing for everybody. So, are we ready for the big reveal here?
Absolutely.
What I have decided to use instead is tofu.
Oh,
I hear an audible gasp.
clever.
I know some people do not love tofu. I hope this changes your mind because it is such a mild thing. And here it's getting a nice citrus spicy treatment. One thing I would recommend is getting, can you see that, organic tofu, because so much of the soy grown in the United States is genetically modified. So I have been blotting dry a pound of super firm tofu. I cut it up into nice little cubes, and in it goes. Now, this is a great no-cook recipe because it's still warm in Miami, and wherever you are, this is a nice sort of last gasp of summer. You have great big flavors. You don't have to cook, but so often I think there is a secret ingredient we don't think about. Thyme, even with ceviche, even with a raw no-cook thing, it needs to marinate. And especially if you're using tofu, which is such a mild flavor, you want the flavors to get to know each other and build. So I would recommend covering this and chilling this for a couple hours. And as I say, it is a great party dish, so you can make it ahead. You can even do it the day before.
Nice. Okay, so for me, I happen to be allergic to soy. What would you recommend I use? Go back to the hearts of palm?
If you like them, yes.
They make noodles out of hearts of palm now. Lasagna noodles.
Yes.
It's pretty.
Like palmito, something like that.
Yeah, that's the company. I just think that's fascinating that they're able to do that.
Yes, I think so too. In fact, I was sort of talking with them a while back about doing some work with them. I think it's a great idea. I need a little more data behind it to make sure they're not hurting our palms. Do you like the product? Have you tried it?
I've tried it. I haven't had it often, but I do like it. Yeah, I think it's very clever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't use it much, but yeah, that's good to know.
Some people say you can like flash, steam vegetables and then toss it in this. While that would be very good, it to me isn't ceviche. And especially developing favorite recipes for this book. If I was creating a recipe using tropical produce, that's one thing. But people in Miami are very passionate about certain dishes, about key lime pie, about ceviche. So I always want to honor the heart and oomph that goes into a dish, even if I have to adapt it to make it plant-based. So it is a very elegant, sometimes thin and teetery line.
Nice.
So we can pretend, because time goes so fast when I'm with you, Chef AJ.
I've heard that before.
A couple hours have passed and this is pretty much good to go. You can certainly add a fair amount of sea salt because we have not added any at this point. And as with wardrobe, this is your chance to accessorize. Ceviche is kind of like tacos. It's fun to add all kinds of things and make it really fun looking. So some classic things to add are radish, or if you can get it, you can certainly get it in Miami, jicama, which is a big kind of clunky looking thing, also called a Mexican turnip. But like radish, it's crunchy, munchy, really, really good. And I've got a nice bowl of cilantro and flat leaf pepper, no parsley. I've got both. And avocado. If I'm fussy about onion, I'm also fussy about avocado. I know we all love our Hass avocado. I will admit they make the best guacamole. They have that luscious fatness. But you know, sometimes a Florida avocado is a good thing too. Avocado is, botanically speaking, a fruit. And if this doesn't have like the fun fatness of a Hass, it does have more of a fruitier characteristic. So it's very good if you want to slice some up, or if you want to use a half of it and scoop out the seed and fill it with ceviche. That can be a kind of decadent thing. I am not entirely sure this is as ripe as I want it to be, but let us try.
Do you have any tips on choosing the ripest avocado and not having them go bad so quickly? That's the one pet peeve of a lot of people with avocados, is they get to that perfect ripeness and then the next day they've gone bad.
I think you should enjoy them. You can also, if they are starting to lose their luster, use them as an at-home spa treatment. They're great in your hair, on your face, on your much abused hands and feet. So you look like an escapee from a zombie horror flick for a little bit, but it feels really good. And then you rinse it off and it's like, because I haven't gone to a spa lately, and it's like the next best thing.
Neat.
I understand you can freeze avocado. I have not tried it. Has anyone out there? Because I'd love to know.
Well, I've seen frozen avocado in the stores, even Trader Joe's, for example. So you must be able to do it.
Does it have any sort of preservatives though?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Guys watching live, have any of you frozen avocado and had success with it? I'll let you know in just a second.
So exciting. And I can tell you, this is probably not just Florida avocados moment. I'm sorry, darling. I tried to talk you up. I have a feeling this one will be a little more cooperative. Yeah, unfortunately, it's perfect.
Let's see. Kathy says avocado freezes well, cut, squeeze some citrus and freeze. So that would be the preservative. Fantastic.
Right, certainly a little more citrus does keep the color and brightness.
Lisa also says avocado freezes well. So
okay, good to know.
Yep.
So there are, ceviche is basically used as a starter or an app. So you could put some in something like this with some avocado and radish and a few greens. And that's super cute. You could also, if you have them, those oversized Asian porcelain spoons, great for a party. If you want more, and there's nothing wrong with that, you can be super styling and use a martini glass. I also think it's always a good idea to add more greens. So in addition to the herbs, you can also use this as a salad and add a bunch of, like, plate a bunch of greens on it.
Little spoon idea. That's very cute, but that's not enough food for me when they serve food like that on a little spoon. I need, like, 50 of them.
I'm with you. That's why this is probably going to be part of dinner tonight. It's such a light, bright thing. Absolutely more is more. Let's see, what else do I want to add? This is very simple, and I kind of like it for that. I grew up on punk music, and there was a feeling that you don't have to be super processed. You don't have to have, a whole look. It can be 3 chords and the truth. And some of my favorite recipes are this. They're just really, really vibrant and really simple.
I think it's beautiful.
Yay.
You said something about serving it with plantain chips, but is there a way to either make them or buy them without all the oil and salt of the commercial ones?
No, I know you can air fry them, but it still takes a lick of oil. But you can also do popcorn. It's still whole grains month. It's September, so that's the whole grain we don't think about too much. And you can do that in an air popper with a little bit of salt and some nutritional yeast, and I could eat that all day.
So you serve the popcorn with the ceviche?
Isn't that kind of wild? But it's sort of like an elevated bar snack.
That's
So
very clever.
I wish we could be having that all together, all of us on Biscayne Bay, with a big bowl of popcorn and some martini glasses of ceviche and maybe a really cold beer or kombucha. But until we can do that, I hope this gives you a taste of everything Miami vegan is. It's fresh, it's tropical. It doesn't have to be all that complicated either.
That's neat. What do you eat like on a daily basis living in Miami? Lots of fruit or?
Well, I am very seasonally driven. We had the most amazing mango season, and I still have, that does freeze well. So I have quite a bit in my freezer right now. I used it to make some mango bread that my husband has in the morning with some fresh fruit. Miami's a little backwards. We do things differently, I say. You guys are just like starting to get beautiful eggplants and zucchini and corn and stuff like that. We did that back in March. And now we are just finishing our summer fruits and like avocado, although as I say, not that one. And it's going to be a while before we get some really great stuff in season, but I always have some greens growing. I love greens of all different kinds, sorrel, kale, chard. They are so bright and wonderful. And you can use them for so many things. I'm also a big fan of beans, so those are also super versatile. I think tonight, in addition to the ceviche, I'm gonna make a black bean and spinach salad, maybe have some corn tortillas with that. It's going to be fabulous.
Yum. Do you go to the beach a lot? Do you do any kind of exercise?
I do bar or Pilates the first thing when I wake up after I've let the dog out. If I do not do it first thing in the morning, it's not happening for me, but it also energizes me and it gets me going and makes me hungry for all kinds of good things coming during the course of the day.
Yeah, I think so too, if I don't do it in the morning. So when is your new book coming out?
I have it with an agent. Anyone out there who has done a book knows this can be a very slow process, but I'm very hopeful. I think this could be a really fun thing. Miami and vegan are 2 things I know pretty well. I am a Miami native, which makes me a little bit odd. But I love it here. I love how vibrant it is. I love the quality of light here. And I love being vegan here. I was just talking to someone yesterday who was saying, wow, Miami has really, really developed. It seemed like such a natural for vegan because of the weather, but we were a little late to the dance. We are trying to make up for it now.
Neat. Do you have a large vegan community there?
Yes, it's very exciting. And as I say, we're very supportive of each other. We may all come to it from different angles. You know, Ella is definitely fitness. She could kick my butt. We have some wonderful chefs and innovators. We have great artisans. We have yogini. We have a very devoted, supportive community. Have you been here for Seed Food and Wine?
I haven't. I've heard of it. Are you a presenter for that?
I hope to be this year. Last year, as with so many things, was like, well, we didn't quite have it. But yes, it's really unlike any other vegan fest I've been to. It's big. It's a plant-based party of Miami proportions. It's very glam. I think it is the first week in November this year. So mark your calendars. Come visit.
Great. We have a question from Monarch, a live viewer. How does Ellen feel about sprouts?
Oh, so funny. I make them. I love them. I have some in my fridge. I want to go go pull them out. They are also, in terms of growing your own food, sprouts are really cool. You can have a whole abundance of them in the course of a couple days. And they add great flavor and crunch to anything. There is a local sprout grower company here called Fully Fresh. I love them. They're organic. You can get so many different kinds of sprouts: alfalfa, beet, mung bean, a whole mix. They're great. They add some dazzle to so many things. And like the other day, I came home late and I did not have my ceviche. I did not have any steamed greens. I did have some sprouts, and I had a mouthful of those while I made up my mind what I was going to do. It was good.
Do you ever sprout your own sprouts?
You bet. The ones in my fridge are the ones I sprouted end of last week.
Nice. I got into that for a while and then I just kind of gave up. I got to start doing it again. You just have to remember, you got to remember to rinse them.
Yes.
That's the thing. Here's a question I just saw. Have you found a corn tortilla without additives, or do you make your own corn tortillas?
Both. I can't remember the brand I have that doesn't have any additives. Sometime during the pandemic, you couldn't find them here. So I made my own, and they're really better than almost any commercial product. They did take a little more time than I wanted to invest. So I'm not doing that today, but like you, being reminded that sprouting is a good thing, making your own tortilla isn't a bad thing either. So maybe I'll do that tomorrow.
I would love to see a demonstration on corn. I personally don't like to eat flour, but a long time ago I took a class and I made my own flour tortillas and it wasn't that hard. You mentioned mushroom ceviche, and there's a question from Jesse and a few others, because some of the plant-based doctors say mushrooms shouldn't be eaten raw. Where do you stand on that topic?
I agree with you. Although you could say the mushrooms are cooked in this, that's why I don't do it with mushrooms anymore. I love a good cooked mushroom. I love a good, slow cooked onion, but raw onions are a little too sharp for me. And the toxicity of raw mushrooms does not sit well with me. I can't recommend that. So I'm with you guys.
I wonder if you could just steam them first or something to.
Oh, absolutely you could. But then, as I say, is that ceviche or is that not ceviche? It depends on how hard ass you want to be about it.
Let's see if there's any other questions from you. Marcy said, does the citrus make the mushroom safe to eat? Like cooking does?
I would think so, but I don't have the culinary science behind it to know for sure.
That's cool. Do you have any meetup groups or anything like that that are vegan in your area?
There's lots of groups, and there's an organization, nonprofit called SoFlo Vegans. And Miami is a kind of weird place. It's long and skinny, and there's all kinds of different enclaves. There's Coconut Grove, there's Coral Gables, there's Aventura. And a few years ago, I thought, how can we get everyone together? I couldn't do it, but there's a guy named Sean Russell, who is a great organizer, who did. And he started SoFlo Vegans, and it's online. It is for real too. We have great events, real and virtual, and it's going to be good to have more real again soon too.
There used to be in my yoga studio a yoga type called Slow Flow. Angela, you're in Miami. You guys should hook up. Angela, who's watching, says she just finished her fitness walk on Miami Beach. So there's another vegan for you.
Yay.
Yep. If you were going to use the mushrooms, somebody's saying, would you use like a king mushroom, or would it matter?
King mushrooms would be gorgeous with it. But I think you could also get away with like a baby Bella, or even if you want to mix it up, just like some plain white buttons, and maybe throw in some cremini in there for a little extra flavor and depth. Even a white button mushroom has great properties in it. Jill Nussenow and I are big on mushrooms. They're so helpful.
Jill Nussenow, the veggie queen, is watching live. You got all your friends to watch. Thank you. And she says you can also zest some of your citrus and freeze for later. You know, Jill, if you and Fran are still watching, why don't you guys come back and do an Iron Chef against each other? Wouldn't that be fun?
Woo.
I would love to see that. Two friends competing. Yeah, that would be so cool. Let's just see. You said you have an animal companion. Are they nearby?
Yes, he's totally crashed out right now. I walked him before our show because he is, as my vet said, a senior dog. So I didn't want him barking or running around during this. I can try and bring my camera to where he is napping. Hey, Potcake.
Cute. Is he a beagle? I can't see from there.
He is a beagle mix, and his name is Potcake. That is an affectionate Bahamian name for mud. And it's also, when you're cooking beans and rice, sometimes things stick to the bottom of the pot. That's a potcake. And it's delicious. It's all the best bits stuck together.
Yeah, I always like the burnt stuff. That was Jesse says, what does hearts of palm taste like? And people are saying what they like about it is it does look like sea scallops if you're trying to fool people.
It's very mild flavored, actually. Maybe has some, might remind you of some of the aromatic notes of celery, but it's also very textural. It feels great in the mouth. It's got a little bit of crunch. It's juicy. It's really good. It's just the sustainability factor I'm not sure about. Although if it's got the Chef AJ seal of approval.
Well, see, I didn't know about that though. And I don't buy them very often. I mean, I do like them. And I've had them in salads and things they made at True North. And, you know, you can bread them and like make like mozzarella sticks out of them.
Wow, that's really cool. I know you can do some great faux fish things with them too. And if you do really love the briny flavor of seafood and you're trying to switch, but this recipe sounds good to you, if you want to add like, I'd say just a 1/4 teaspoon of nori powder, that's going to bring up the seafood flavor without any seafood.
Nice. What's your favorite meal?
It is whatever is in season, and I'm extremely fickle. I'm thinking of like some curry right now, but this sounds nice and bright to me too, the ceviche. When the weather gets a little cooler, I like a nice cup of jasmine tea and maybe some steel cut oats, also for Whole Grains Month. So I switch it up a lot, and I love vegetables.
Nice. Jesse says, could artichoke hearts be used in ceviche?
I bet that would be fantastic. I have a Middle Eastern grocer near me that I like to go to, and they have some fantastic frozen artichoke hearts.
Nice.
What
Well,
I'll
good.
do.
This is great. So where would, other than your book, which I've been posting in the chat and in the show notes, is there a place you like to send people to follow you or to find out more about you?
I am on Instagram at my name, Ellen Canner. I am on Twitter as Soulful Vegan, and I think you can find me on Facebook under my name, under Soulful Vegan. My website, soulfulvegan.com. I would be so glad to connect with any of you anytime.
Great. I actually, that's how I found out a little bit about you. You did a podcast with Slow Flow Vegan, and I listened to it. Yeah.
Thank you. Did your homework.
Well, I try to. I mean, I don't want to like, who are you again? Wouldn't that be, what's your name? No, I try. And the thing is when the guest has a book, I always do try to read it, or as much as I can in advance, especially if it's on Audible, then I can speed it up and get it read pretty quickly. Nice. Well, thank you so much. It's just nice. So nice getting to meet you and to see your beautiful demonstration of ceviche. I love all these little tips and tricks you gave, and that popcorn thing. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I ran out of time. I was thinking, I'll make a bowl next time.
A lot of people love seeing your beagle or beagle mix. People have fond memories of beagles. Our very first dog growing up was a beagle. I mean, I was 4, so I couldn't tell my parents not to get it purebred because I didn't even have that language back then. But they are wonderful dogs, and especially their ears. They're the softest ears. I would always take my beagle's ear and just like lay on it while he was napping because it was so soft.
I know. Nice. He's been a very good dog. Sometimes he barks like he gets jealous.
Yeah.
So, but no, the walk was a good thing.
Well, he wants some screen time, apparently.
Every so often I hoist him up and he has his moment.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And good luck with the next book, and let us know when it comes out so we can support you, maybe have you back and do a recipe from it.
I would love it. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Everyone, it was wonderful to meet you. Come to Miami or connect with me virtually. I would love it.
Jessie says, please tell Ellen, thank you for such a great ceviche idea. Great.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you, Ellen. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. This is the only day this week that we have a bonus show at 2 p.m. We have my favorite stand-up comedian, Carrie Otis, who is my teacher, and he's going to show you how you can turn your life into a stand-up comedy act. Have you ever done anything like comedy, Ellen, or performing?
No, I can write funny. I can't be funny.
Well, that's still a gift because I mean, comedy, if you can you write my set, then that's good. Then I don't have to take the class. That's the hardest part is writing it, I think.
No, you gotta have like some Chef AJ attitude. I'm working on that. So
yeah, well, watch the show too, because he has a lot of corporate people take his class, and he makes anybody be funny. We get doctors and lawyers and anesthesiologists in the class. And so, I mean, he has a formula that he promises you too can be funny.
I love it. Okay, I'm in.
Great. Thanks so much. Take care.